Good evening. I'm very excited. We have a very special guest in the house today. He has worked his way up the ladder. He has been a highway patrolman, a chief of police, mayor, and now he's senator. Today we will be interviewing Senator Ed Jones. Hello, Senator Jones.
Good evening. How are you doing?
All right, and yourself?
I'm doing well. Glad to have you with us this evening.
Thank you. Okay, Senator Jones, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'll be more than happy to. First of all, thank you for letting me be in your presence this evening, and thank you for letting me do this interview with you. And a little bit about myself. I'm from Asheville, North Carolina. It's in the western part of the state. I am one of 3 children. I came up hard, and so I tell everyone, don't forget where you come from. And so now I'm in a place now that it seems to be still rough for people who's coming up. And I guess now it's in this area, it's a lot of young folks and that really don't know where they came from and where they're going. Mm-hmm. And so my job is to try to have some kind of focus, a path for them to go to.
Okay. I heard that you do a lot of motivational speaking. Can you tell us some of the things that you say to the youth to get them motivated?
Well, the thing is, all of us can do motivational speaking. All you have to do is tell about your past, where you came from to where you're at now. A lot of it's about us having parents that was really focused on us. The others about going back to relating to your past. So I know how I came up, and it's not so much motivational. It's more of telling a story on how you got here. And when you tell that story, somebody finds something in that fit in their lives they can identify with.
Okay, can you tell us some of the things that you see that are troubling with our youth, what our youth are having trouble with?
Well, yes, our youth is having people not understanding them. We sometimes we don't talk to our youth. We don't listen well. We rather talk and that still not listen to what they have to say. We live in a different world now. We live in a world of age of computers and everything else, electronics, and we don't understand that. They do. So it's a very big disconnect from where I came from to where they are now. I remember back in the day we had carbon paper, and now we have computers. And so we have revolved a long ways from where I came from and what I understand life should be about. So we got to be able to understand what these young folks are about, and be focused, being able to talk to them, understand them, sit them down and ask a little bit about them, and they would probably let you learn something.
Okay, with our youth in the community, can you give us how can I put this? Can you give us something to reach out to grab our youth and try to get our youth to come back?
Well, the way we can get our youth to come back to where we need them having that now is that, again, we got to have people understanding, not so much parents, teachers, and everyone else understanding. We now talk about people who have their pants hanging down and young ladies with the dresses a little bit short. It's a style, but that style does not look what people like me and you who hire folks, and we hire people who look like us. And dress like us, and to have it's more. If you look at the President of the United States and how he dresses that way because that's the uniform of today. And the uniform of today, we all have uniforms. No matter where we're at in life, we all have uniforms. The person who works in the hospital has a uniform. The person in the military has a uniform. I have a uniform. I'm supposed to dress a certain way in order to represent you in the General Assembly. Teachers expect to look a certain way. Everyone has a uniform, but it doesn't have to be the same color. But it makes us a part of who we are. The military has different kinds of uniforms, and football teams have different kind of uniforms, but they're all the same. And that's how you can tell a football player from a basketball player. They're a little bit different. It depends on what you're doing at the time. You need to be dressed and conform to that arena you're in at that time.
Okay, with the youth in our community, we having a lot of problems with gangs and stuff now. Can you tell us what you think actually brought this into our area, especially with, let's say, with Enfield. Enfield is a little small town, and now they're being infected by gangs. Can you tell us where all this comes, where the gang mentality and stuff is coming from a little town?
Well, it's just not in there, it's everywhere. Gangs was back when I went to school. We had our little crowd and who we hung out with and what side of town you came from, and we didn't call them gangs then. Just where you was from is where we call it. My little area, your little area, my space, and this type of thing. But we all, it's because that we don't understand each other. It's why we try to identify with people who, again, who like us, most likely have the same goals in mind or whatever, and being accepted is what this is about. But gangs, we got wannabes and could-have-beens, but most people focus on things that will not make them $1. And stand on the corner is never going to make anyone $1. You can stand there and do drugs, whatever you wish to do with your little gangs and this type of thing. But at the end of the day, you don't see people my age with gray hair in a gang. We just don't have one. You have to grow out that. We're trying to wait till you grow out of these things. The oldest gang I know of is the Mafia. Now, they had folks who really came up and did real well in that. But we don't have that. There is a stage that everyone goes through somewhere. I'm from this side of town, I'm from this side of the county, or whatever it may be. I'm from this street or that street. And you're trying to show ownership in something. But sometimes we show ownership in things that it's not going to get us anywhere. We learn to hate when we're very young in life. We learn that. It's a learned trait. The Bears is against the Tigers, and the Tigers is against the Blue Jays, and the Blue Jays against the Vikings, and the Vikings against some other team. So you don't even know the folks, but you learn to hate them, and because it's one that you might not like the kids at the other school. Why? They have done nothing to you, but they're the Bulldogs, and you're the Cats, and Bulldogs and Cats don't get along. You've been taught that, so you root for one side, you root for one team or the other. So you're always rooting for your side. That's what gangs do. Just think about them as, being rooting for one side or the other. So I'm in this gang, and you just changed the name from a school to a gang, from a mascot to now to this here. And what we do, we're bad. We're bad. We won so many games, we bad. We beat you, we bad. So we learned this. And when you learn things like that, it's no harm at that time, but a little bit later as it goes on, it festers into other things. And so now I didn't like you when you was a Blue Jay, you was a Bulldog, or a Cat, or whatever. Now I still don't like you because you're from the other side of town, and we have never got along. I wonder why cats and dogs don't get along. They all got 4 legs, Why they don't get along? Really, it's other things out there. Why they don't get along? They all gonna have to be fed or loved or whatever, but they don't get along. And but gangs are going to be something here. I just hope it doesn't destroy us, that it doesn't take our best minds. And when you got so many things out here to try and make a difference, such as someone to cure cancer and diabetes, and these people who are in these gangs are not going to get that for us. They're not going to college. They're not going on to do what God gave them that mind to do. So those folks are going to be left by the wayside, and we still be fighting cancer and AIDS and diabetes and everything else out here because you chose to go a different way. We have very smart people. Some of the people in gangs are very smart, very intelligent, and they're wasting that mind on wanting to be a part of the establishment out here. And it's I don't know how we will ever get them to understand that.
So our kids in the gang, if we know a child that's in a gang or a young adult, how can we get that person to see their true vision and see what they're really out here meant to do instead of being there?
Sometimes you got to get somebody by the collar and show them, And sometimes you have to, we have churches, and why don't you adopt a gang member and be a mentor, and organizations and sororities and fraternities. Adopt one person and say, look, I'm going to watch you. This is what I'm going to do. You're not going to do that. The parent might not have that control, but your big brothers and your sisters and people who are really concerned about you might have a little bit better control if you're a role model. So therefore, I think being a role model out here is something that I tell everybody, I'm just here by the grace of God. And so we got to go back to the basics. You got to go through your, you got to be religious, and you've got to believe in the Bible. You got to believe in some other things that's a greater power than you, and so you don't stray from that. And we all know when we're doing wrong, no matter where it's at. We all know when we're doing wrong.
Yes, sir. With our kids that's in the game, when we get that person to mentor, because I have seen some parents who actually scatter their child, and myself, I'm 27, and my mother's not scared of me at all. It's the other way around. How can we teach the kids to respect their parents? Because I have heard kids cuss their parents out and stuff, and that's something that always bothered me because that wasn't the way that I was raised. And a way to teach the kids that your parents, when you disrespect your parents, you actually shorten your days. How can we teach the kids that they only get one mother and one father?
Well, first you got to act like a mother and a father to start off with. And that child would not be cussing their mother and father if they had taken the proper actions, of course, a little bit early on in life. I don't even have it in the slightest of my mind, nowhere at the tip of my hair on my head, that I would have acted up in school. And my mom on her minimum wage job would come down and have to check on me because I'm down there acting. That has never even crossed my mind. There's a lot of things crossed my mind, but that's not one of them. And so when she got paid and she was doctored that pay because I was down there acting up, she would remember me a little bit later on. But parents, the definition of parent, some people think because you had a child, or you're the father of the child, that you're parents. And it's more than that. It's more of making sure that person strives to do a little bit better than you did in life. And so that's what parenting is the guiding of one individual. But I can guarantee you right now, our problems is that we have children who are now having children, who have had children, and it's continuing to go on. Bebe is alive and well, and so again, he's in all our families, and we're trying to get him out just as much as we can. But that joke is there, and he has infiltrated us, and so it takes a little bit to turn that around to make sure that we get the Bebes out of our lives. We have to make sure that while children, we can't be there always with them, but we can bring them up the way we want to bring up. It's an investment, and because to go to a funeral of one of your children a little bit later, and it's your fault because you didn't do a little better job earlier, that's a great stress on somebody.
Thank you for being here today with us, Senator Jones, and we do appreciate the knowledge that you gave to us today.
And thank you so much for having me here today. But something we have changed somebody's way of living, their lives, their patterns. But thank you so much for having me here today also.
Yes, sir. And please join us again, because I see you have a lot of knowledge to
You just put the invite out there. You put the invite out there. We'll go ahead and take care of that. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yes, this is Latoya Williams from BN Magazine. Stay encouraged.